Another windy, blustery start to your Wednesday. This time we're coming to you live from Weld County, and you're likely to see a lot of this today. Farm equipment sitting idle. In fact, the Greeley Tribune reports farmers are getting anxious about all this wind. They've got carrots and cabbage crops in the ground, but the problem is there just isn't any moisture to finish the job, and a lot of this dirt turns into projectiles or rocks that can hurt some of those young plants. Other farmers, beets and corn growers, they have to wait because of all the wind we've been seeing buffeting us all up and down the Front Range. We spent part of the morning on Tuesday at DIA. Little did we know that was one of the windiest spots in the country. We did a time lapse around sunrise Tuesday to give you an idea of what it was like to see those clouds racing across the sky. Turns out this was the second windiest spot in the country. One of the issues this wind is creating for farmers is what we talked about, the loose dirt that's in the fields. It can become like a bullet or a projectile, so when a young plant comes out of the ground, it can damage it severely, and that's the concern as these plants start to sprout. Now, the other concern is the wind you're seeing again today. No, it has not died down. We're in Weld County. You can see blowing straight to the south. Farmers say they're excited overall about the snowpack and the water levels, but they're not excited about having to wait to put their crops in the ground, especially when they know that May 1st is the deadline when they typically have that done. And Lisa, May 1st is tomorrow.
And Tyler joins us now live, and that's causing some big problems for some of the farmers.
Really is, Lisa. We've got farm equipment sitting idle and wheels up in Weld County. And it's not the cold, although it is chilly. It's definitely the wind. Take a look when you kick that dust. Huge clouds just moving to the south. The other issue is when you do plant a crop, some of the stuff that is left in the ground becomes projectiles, bullets for smaller crops like cabbage and carrots that are already in the ground. In fact, the Greeley Tribune reporting a lot of farmers just simply can't get started on their planting. Here's another look at that wind. Kids, if you're headed to school today, make sure you hold on to that homework with both hands or it's going to end up like this cardboard floating. You may never catch back up to it. Now, we are at a farm equipment dealership, so of course a lot of this equipment is going to be sitting idle, but the Tribune reports that a lot of farmers are in the same situation. They can't get out into their fields because of this wind, and they've been sitting idle for several days waiting to put corn and beets into the ground, but they just can't do it with these kind of temperatures and this kind of wind. Now, we know it's been difficult to get around. We've seen snow, trucks blown over, blowing dust advisories. Jason, it's been a wild week.
Yeah, it really has.
Another windy start to this Wednesday, and that likely means that tractors like this will sit idle and empty for another day. In fact, farmers are starting to feel like some of the equipment we see here on Weld County Highway 66 sitting by themselves, anxious to get in the fields, but literally blown out of their workplace by all of this wind we've been seeing affecting all of us up and down the Front Range. We spent some time a little east and south of here yesterday at DIA, so we shot this time lapse around sunrise so you can get an idea just exactly how fast that wind is moving. Little did we know, this was the second windiest spot in America on Tuesday, with sustained winds in the 50-mile-per-hour range. They were just screaming across the sky all day. Now, the Greeley Tribune reported that one of the issues that this wind creates for farmers is that the loose dirt in the fields becomes like a projectile. It can damage the young plants that are just starting to sprout. Carrots and cabbage are in the ground, but corn and beet farmers have had to wait because of all this wind, and they're anxious to get in the fields. They know there's plenty of snow in the mountains. You can see the clouds forming with all of that wind, and the flag here pointing directly to the south, getting a little lighter. Finally, they might get a chance perhaps to get in the fields later in the week, but it certainly looks like today will be another lost day. Live in Weld County, Tyler Lopez, 7 News Now.
Thanks, Tyler.